Okay, this is part B of the tutorial to convert a PL to a CGI. So once the PL is working properly on the shell, it is now time to copy the file to the public HTML, and you can call it the same thing except you're going to use a CGI extension. Modifications of this new file include commenting certain lines, which are shell specific, and adding new code which is compatible with the internet. The code below, shown in green, shows what to comment and what to add for the specific script above. This process will be similar in all subsequent assignments. So here we go. First of all, we have to add a library, and the command for that to bring in extra functions into Perl and your program is the command use. CGI is the name of a library, and by library, a programming language is referring to simply additional functions. These bring it, and just remember this command here. We don't have to understand exactly the syntax, just make sure that this is in the first line here. Use CGI QW :standard, and that's it. Now, the first thing you need to do, if your program is going to run from the web, you have to have the Apache server has to send this out first of all to a browser, or the browser will give you an error. It says exactly this: content type under :text /HTML /n/n. Those two /n's are extremely important. If you only have one, you still get an error on the browser. So instead of using a print statement and printing this out, which we could do, all we have to do is make sure that gets printed out first. Now, thanks to the CGI library, we just use print header. Header is a function that simply is made out of a print statement, and it prints the content type. Good. Next, you're going to comment out the standard input, since it doesn't work on the web, and you replace this by this statement right here. So obviously you're going to be using the same variable name, since your program makes use of it already. And instead of using standard in, this time you use another function from CGI called param, and this function is waiting for a field name or a variable coming from the web. And in a minute we'll show you how we send out a variable from the web. And that variable, we have to make sure that this name right here matches the term that we're going to use from the browser. And it is recommended that we use the same name. Basically, it doesn't have to be, right? Whatever value we have in this field on the browser is going to be grabbed from the param statements on the right of this equal sign, and this value will now be dumped into the memory location of our variable. So these two lines, unfortunately we can't give us a prompt anymore on the browser, at least at this point. Remember, this is a crude way of doing this, but it's very simple. It's the simplest way to do it. In about 7 weeks we'll learn how it's really done. So there you go. You're going to replace these two lines by this one for every variable for which you have to input a number or a value. Same thing with this one. The second, and the chomp, you can just leave this one alone. It's not going to, the variable coming from the parent statement will not have a return statement. So since we know that the chomp function does nothing if there is no return character, then we can just leave it alone. This is commented out and replaced by a param statement, and we're going to call it second just to match what we already have. Now, we took care of the input into the program. Now we have to worry about the printing. and the printing right now is going to try attempt to print /n, and it's not going to work on the browser. So the trick is to use an HTML tag called pre, P-R-E. Remember, we have a space here, and that's the last thing you want to do is leave that one in when you use that in your code, because it will not work. We want this to be a regular HTML tag, which is bracket followed by pre and end the bracket. That's it. That will set up your browser to print exactly the way the shell does. It's going to print the /n's first of all, and it's also going to print the spaces and the tabs. It's going to basically simulate exactly what you were printing before in the shell. And so it's very simple. Just precede any printout statements you have with a pre, and at the end of your print statements you issue a closed pre, which has a / right in front. Okay? Now, just remember, just one command, and then you can have 25 print statements if you want following. And when you're all done with your printing, issue a final print statement that closes the pre tag. Now let's see what else do we have to do. We're going to let's go ahead and do our conversions. First, use CGI in capital letters, QW : standard. Don't worry about exactly. We'll look at this function later, the QW. Now we will do a print header. That will take care of our content type. Here we comment both of these lines, and we can, that's not a comment. And in front of this one, I'm going to use the first equal param and first. You can use double quotes, single quotes, and I believe you can even use no quotes. It will still work. Okay, with chum first, no problem. This one we get to comment this one out. This one will push down below, and we're going to create our second variable, param, second. I put a space here, it doesn't matter. Now, we're going to add a print statement. Let's see, you could make the pre, you could add the pre tags right here, but it's a little clearer usually to make that separately pre in its own place here. And then after all your print statements are done, we can close the pre statement. Very good. We're going to close and save, and we're going to run. Whoa, what have I done? Oh my goodness, my goodness, my goodness. I have replaced the PL version by what I forgot to do, folks, is to copy. My goodness, I just destroyed the PL, but you know better, don't you? What you want to do is copy edition.pl to the public folder, and you're going to call it edition CGI. Okay, please don't forget that. Now I have to go to public folder, and look in here. We do have the edition CGI, and what you need to do is run this program on the shell. And this is what this line is about. Right here, it explains that to run a CGI from the shell, since it's expecting some data from the web, we can simulate that action by simply adding these with spaces. Okay, so that's going to provide some data for this to work. So let's go ahead, edition CGI, Let's first, we'll give that one a 3, and the second we'll give that one a 4. Okay, you see the header function, went ahead and put that content type, text HTML, and it even added some additional information, but here's one return character, and here's another. So that looks pretty ugly on the shell, but we don't care because we know once it hits the browser, everything will be fine. Same thing with this HTML tag. It doesn't make any sense here, but at least we know once it hits the browser, it will do its thing. Good. Now we are ready to try this from the web, and we have the directions in here also. What we're going to do is the way we pass the variables is by using a question mark after the name of your program. You place a question mark just like Google would do. In fact, let's just go to Google very quickly, and if I type something, you notice the address suddenly changes with a question mark, and then you have some fields here. The first one is HL equal English, and the next field is separated by an ampersand, and this one is Q, probably for question. It's a field name, equal, and then we provided a value. Okay, we're going to use the same method here, except now we're going to, of course, we know that our field name is supposed to be called first equals 4, ampersand, second equals 2. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and copy this, and let me go to my gen account, which is not that, 214 gen 89, and my program is called addition.cgi question mark and some data. First equals 4, ampersand, second is 2. Let's run it, and here it is. The print statement received the 4 for first, received the 2 for second, and made the addition simply and ran from the web. There we go, folks. Thank you very much.